Yeah, okay, that Butts, I can't tell you what Butts said. I mean, even quoting Butts, I'm not going to tell you what he said. It was during the Ford re-election campaign. He was the agriculture secretary. He said it in private. John Dean reported it. John Dean leaked it to Rolling Stone. Didn't specifically name Butts, but it was attributed to Butts, B-U-T-Z. Butts resigned. There was no other possibility. It was just that bad. And I always thought that it was Butts who had talked about the cabinet, and if they just had a cripple and it had a whole thing perfectly PC. But that was James Watt in the Reagan years. And he left. So anyway, welcome back, folks. Great to have you. I'm happy to be corrected. Doesn't happen much, but when it needs to be, it gets done. Telephone number is 800-282-2882 if you want to be in the program, and the email address, lrushmore@eibnet.com. Back to the audio soundbites quickly, as there's always a sense of urgency on this program. It's by design, if you will. And I mentioned earlier in the program, we're talking about the theory of mine that when it comes to the Obamacare defund, and even combined with the shutdown, I do believe that it is the Democrats who are beginning to panic, or maybe just shy of panic, but clearly the Republicans are not losing this. And I provided a number of things I think are evidence of this during the program today. And Obama's doing a presser. Everybody's sitting around waiting for his press conference to start. I mean, all of this, Obama's saying, I'll negotiate with anybody, anytime, anywhere, as long as they come to the table ready to agree with me. The Republicans do not seem like the crazies here. The Republicans do not seem like the uncompromising whatever negatives are usually attached to them. That Democrats are the ones that have come off mean and heartless here. And Obama voters, this fiasco at the Obamacare website is a biggie, and there are some fascinating things that have been written about that. Oh, and by the way, the National Mall is closed, except it's not. They opened the National Mall for a rally for amnesty today. It's closed for standard, ordinary, everyday American citizen use because of the shutdown. But Obama, the regime, opened it up today for use by pro-amnesty immigration forces. And there's a big mob out there, a big crowd out there. And I'm just telling you, folks, these are things that the low information voters, they see it. This is not something they have to be led to and have to be told. They see this stuff. And I think, we had Aaron Burnett telling the Forehead, you guys overshot this. You're predicting the end of the world on there. Well, it's shut down, and it isn't the end of the world. You predicted the end of the world on the sequester, and it isn't the end of the world. It's actually pretty good. And so on Anderson Cooper last night, he had Republican strategist Anna Navarro, Daily Beast editor-in-chief Tina Brown. And they're talking about the shutdown. And Anna Navarro said there has to be a solution that saves face for the Speaker, the Republicans, and the White House. And that'd be a good solution, a good way to do things. I don't know what she's talking about here. But regardless, Anna is solid GOP establishment. She would big on immigration reform and so forth. That she would be among people inside the Beltway who think the Republicans are getting creamed. And probably you do too. I get email from people who think I'm full of it. Come on, Rush, have you had a news on lately? Republicans are getting their clocks clean. I'm telling you, I think the perception outside the Beltway is not that. But we'll see. Anyway, Tina Brown had this to say about Democrats winning and losing and all that.
What we're seeing now in the polls is that the blaming of the Republicans alone is now also shifting to Democrats, in the sense that now people just want the government just to work together and get it done. And there may be now actually a very good moment, I think, for the Democrats to start negotiating over the budget before the debt ceiling and before all of that, rather than continually taking the stance that, we're not going to just give in to hostages.
Well, now, there's no other way to read this. This is, again, as I posited yesterday, it is this one word, negotiate. Apparently what's happened is the Democrats are seen as refusing. And as much as it might bother me, the American people want this to happen. They want there to be this negotiation and getting along. And don't forget, they who voted for Obama thought that's what his election meant, among many other things, because he promised it. And the media told them that this is a new kind of politician, and he exploited that. He promised everybody that the old politics, the constant bickering was over. And there was a new day, a new era of cooperation and all that rot gut. And it's not happening. And so here, Tina Brown, the Democrats, polling is shifting. The Democrats are now seen as the ones who are obstinate and refuse to talk. 61, it's in the polling data, 61% disapproval for Democrats on this, folks. And it's on the plus side, 70% for Republicans, 61% blaming the Democrats on this. That's why Obama's doing a presser, and that's why all of these people are starting to panic. Here's Frank Rich, another regime stalwart. He was on with Piers Morgan last night. Frank Rich used to be at the New York Times. Now he's over at New York Magazine. This is the guy. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Well, it does. You may not. Frank Rich left his family for a year to live with a gay couple to experience it, to be able to relate. No, he did, as a means of being able to be more able to write about gay issues. At any rate, he was on with Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan said, "What does it mean for the future of the Republican Party?" Midterms are coming up. You have the big election in 2016. It can't be helpful, can it, to their chances of doing well in either of those two elections if they are seen to be absolutely ideologically at each other's throats?
Like it or not, they have a long game in view, and they see themselves as revolutionaries. And, of course, Republicans do control a lot of state houses, and so there's the local fights, which are completely different from the national fight. Americans tend to look at the marquee event, which is the presidential election, and there they're definitely hurting themselves, and they may well hurt themselves in representation in Congress, but they have a longer view. They have a very strong ideology that's persisted for decades, arguably stronger than any that's uniting the Democratic Party at any time, at least since the New Deal.
Well, he's all wet about the substance there in terms of what this might mean electorally. But nevertheless, he's cautioning old Piers Morgan here against dismissing what's going on the conservative side. You might think they're a bunch of crazies, but they're not losing the day out there.